Coming to you straight from the Rio Grande and beyond. Broadcasting to the four corners of the globe. So grab your seat, your coffee, or your sundowner.
Okay, everybody, here we go.
On point, as always. This is Gloves Off. Gloves Off. Gloves Off is always on point. On point. Bringing you the best on current issues, community affairs, and the happenings around us. This segment of Gloves Off is brought to you by the best, so pay them a visit. Check them out. This is Gloves Off.
Little conversation with folks of the passage of 2019. We're going to talk a little bit about Savate in general for everybody, and some first timers and some that have been around for a long time. We've got Professor Buitrón, we have Tucano from San Antonio, we have Coach Mecanico from Dallas, we have Mike from Italy. So we'll go ahead and talk a little bit of just the art. Go ahead and start, Mike. Being the first time in seeing Savate and Danse de Rue Savate, what did you think?
Difficult question. I think it's a very particular art, and it's very fascinating art because it's probably the only art from all the European martial arts that has a lineage, still a lineage, probably. and that's one of the things that I'm interested in. One of the reasons why I'm interested into it. So that's what brought me also into researching more about this art through various chat that I have with Professor Buitrón and various of his books. So I got this chance to be here for the past week for work, and so I had to stop in Arena to train.
You know what, and it's great for you to come, because we've been talking, and Facebook has made a lot of friends around the world. And it's great to meet people of like mind and people that want to understand. And we have other friends in common, like Guru Plink from Silat, which is an excellent man and an excellent teacher, you know, more like my brother, my older brother. But you came here with Savate, and you're right, you said something that's very fascinating. Savate, to me, I think it's the only one of the living martial arts of Europe that still has a lineage that can be followed to schools, because the first school of Savate was developed in 1803. Okay, and we can trace all our professors all the way back to Michel Cassou, the first school. Even though there was, so we can, it's a fine line that we can find, you know. And Professor Jed May can go ahead and elaborate more on Savate. How do you explain Savate? Or Danse de Rue Savate, how do you explain it?
Danse de Rue Savate for me it's a way to use a lot of possibility and opportunity to use your body for defense in a simple way. You know, it's not so complicated. Simple things, and you can do defense, okay? And I think everybody can do it. That's the best thing.
Okay, and kind of explain a little bit of the history, the history, the histoire de la Savate, about la lutte parisienne, ou Lacan, Baton. Explain la lutte, Lacan, Baton, what happened, how it evolved to now.
At the beginning, long time ago, the beginning of the cycle, last cycle, Savate, you have to do lutte parisienne, Savate, and you can do all that we do now, okay? And they take off all that for make competition.
They take it away.
They take it away for make competition. And many things lost and forget. And with Danse de Rue, we can get back all is technical.
And that's what happens, you know, the disciplines were, you had to learn this from this professor, and you had to be this great to learn it. So a lot of people lost interest. Also, and the Federation only cared about the sport, okay? And this is where, you know, I would say the following. You had two distinct pugilistic arts. You had Savate and you had boxe française. There were two different arts. Different ways of moving, different ways of kicking, different ways of thinking. The objective was different, okay? Similar, but different.
Yeah.
In 1978, they both came together and formed a new discipline. And the discipline was and is known as Savate boxe française, the sport that you see now. Many people say Savate is for the street and boxe française is for the ring. No. Savate and boxe française, the original arts, are actually no longer in existence now. They have died. And people would argue and say, Paul is this, Paul is that. No, they have died. The discipline that is being taught in the world is Savate boxe française.
Yeah.
Okay, and from that sport, you have a lot of little things that developed. You have what we call contemporary Savate, which is more around the world. Stuff you see in England, in Brazil, in Mexico, parts of the United States, where the French Federation came did a workshop and then left, and then they continued teaching, and they kind of teach something or other similar to what it is, but it's not really what the discipline of Savate Boxe Française is. What would you say that? Is the truth?
What?
That is more what has happened.
Yeah, and and now we lost a lot of technique with the competition, because in competition you don't take risk. No, we do easy technique like fouette barre, okay, and bench. But you have many techniques to use, but can be dangerous in fight. Okay, no, it's a way. It's in this way the discipline lost many techniques.
Yeah. You know, and Coach Mecanico can tell you, you know, you fought in the ring.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about your experiences and how Savate has grown here since you first started.
Well, we trained. We kind of split it up when I first started training with you. We trained almost, it seemed like, for the ring, and then we'd have a class of lutte, Horzion, and then we'd have a class of con, and you know, and you know this, I got into it originally because I wanted to fight in the ring. I wanted you teach me how to fight, and I wanted to compete, and that's what drove me the first several years I was in it. But there comes a time when you can't compete in the ring anymore, you know, and then at that time I started to fall in love with all the other aspects of Danse de Rue Savate. It started growing on me, all of it did, and that's what's kept me around for, well, since the end of 1992. And now we learn it all as one system. We don't really have a class anymore as just loot or just put the gloves on, we're training for the ring. We don't do that anymore. It's all together now, and it's a lot. I mean, it's not something people can come in and claim they pick up right away. Your goal is you have to love the art to stick with it, and then you have to realize in your head that every time you come to class, come to train, try to pick up one little thing, and then you keep coming to class, and then you try to, every time you build on that, build that foundation, and over several years, then the rankings of Savate, those are kind of I look at it as a reward. I never got in to chase rank or nothing. I don't believe anyone that really loves it does it. They love to learn. And then the rank is the reward for loving the art and wanting to learn, in my belief.
So. And Mike, what do you think? What do you say about that? Expand on that.
I think he has it right. It's an art form. It's not a belief system. It's an art. It's an actual martial art form. So it's very beautiful and very simple at the same time. One movement leads into another, and it's just the way everything flows. It's just a very beautiful art form, and that's one of the things I really love about it. It really is just a beautiful art form.
You know, and you come here. What do you think, Mike?
About
What you saw here? What can you say? You know what? This is what I see. This is what I feel. Is this what you expected?
this is yes, maybe more than what I expected. See, yeah, I understood from your books and your discussion that this was a very scientific art, and an art, like Mike said, and but by training here, I further confirmation on that, and also I understand that there are some those little things that you can only feel by training with a person that makes that art scientific. So little things, a little way, the way of kicks, the way of use the baton, the way of the various type of kicks, the very particular set of kicks, and how you generate power with those kicks. So that's very fascinating, very interesting. Also, I had got some answers to some questions that I had from my research that I had in the books, basically. So,
That's one guess.
so
You see, just a little into that.
of course,
Country is very rich and technical,
Yeah.
very rich, very open.
see, I only stayed here for 2 days and stayed for 8 hours maybe,
Yeah.
so I understand that I just see the tiny portion of what it is, but I can feel these things. So it was very positive.
So the thing that I see, and the question I'm going to ask Professor Big Blue here is Savate has changed. Okay.
Yeah.
And when we were in France, in the 90s, you had the different professors made the club. Each club had a different movement. Each club had a different style.
That's right.
Each club had a way of thinking that was different. Today, that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Today, it's a formula: 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, and that's the way it is, right?
Yeah, everybody fight in the same way. You know. Before, different fighter have is a special style, particular style. Okay, all was different. But now everybody are similar and do the same, and that's a problem now. It's a problem because you lose originality. You lose many things. Okay, when you become in the uniform, everybody is the same, and the richest of everything is the difference. Put all the difference together.
I would say this: Savate, in the world of martial arts, you have systems and you have styles. Savate in boxing says we're styles. Boxing is a style. Capoeira is a style. Then you have systems. Shotokan Karate is a system. American Kempo Karate, or Ed Parker's Kempo, it's a system. Gajo Kempo is a style, because every Gajo Kempo is different. Understand? So you have systems and you have styles. Danse de Rue Savate, I would say, is a systematic style. There's certain things you need to understand and do, but the way you fight, the way you use it, it's your own. Okay, and that's what changes it. Okay, and that's the beauty of it. You know, people say, how long have you been doing that? I've been doing it since I was actually 6. Okay, I'm 50. In 6 more years, I'll be 50 years into this. Okay, it's a long time. So when you see that, and what has Savate taught me? It taught me more to be humble within yourself amongst others and to learn. I think that has been the greatest lesson that he has taught me. You know, what would you think is the best lesson that Savate has taught you? The best lesson Savate has taught you.
Is
The lesson that Savate has taught you. The best lesson
yeah, which one? Well,
that Savate has taught you for doing Savate.
when the best lesson I had taken Savate,
Mm-hmm.
it was with Bob Alex.
Yeah.
Bob Alex, he was he's a picture. He was a very technical teacher, and I think when you are very good technical, you can do what you want if you are in shape. Okay, that's the problem, because do technical, dangerous technical means that you need more shape. Okay. faute figure is more dangerous than faute bas. And also he asks more energy.
Mhm.
Understand?
Yeah.
Like revers tournant sauté, the same.
Mhm.
Need more energy than a little faute bas or just a jab.
Yeah.
Understand? That is the same coup de pied sauté. Same. And now people don't take risks. They do simple things, and that's the problem now. And I'm sure you can be good, or be technical and strong.
Ken?
This lesson has taught me, one thing it's taught me is patience. Really believe it does, because I've never considered myself a fast learner, and I have to stay patient and keep working over and over and over on something before I get it, before finally it clicks with me. And generally, once it clicks with me, I retain it pretty well. So I've learned to be patient with it. The other thing it's probably taught me, best lesson Savate has taught me, is probably self-control. Not only patience, learning how to stick with something or keep working at something, and then a little bit, I really think it kind of helped me quit flying off the handle so much as years have gone on. And I think it's just the energy you burn inside during the workout and training that, it just helps you learn to keep control of yourself and not get mad about every little thing. And those are probably the two best lessons I've learned from it.
And Tocano, what do you think?
Because you pay attention to small details, make big differences in the start too. Just certain placements and turning that elbow just gives you an extra 15 degrees and gives you perfect balance and everything. So it just, attention to details, those finer details really pay off. So you gotta learn to pay attention to what you're doing and why you're doing it. And once you figure out that, then you start noticing those little details and they start paying off for you.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Anything else would you guys like to talk about?
Yeah, one, going back to the self-control thing, I mean, I don't want to get political or anything here, but I've had people tell me learning how to fight teaches you self-control. It's just violent. I mean, that is, I believe there's a lot of youth right now that needs this. They
Yes.
need this. I've tried to. There was a young man in high school, 15 years old, up in Collin County, that had been expelled from school for making terroristic threats, threatening to blow up the school. Well, they asked me to tutor him. Well, I've tried to get him to come join us and work. He was someone, he was a good kid, needed to train. I think he would have been good. But yet, people that were in, now it's too violent. So that's not what he, I was like, that's exactly what he needs. It gives people an outlet. And anyway, that's just a bit of pet peeve of mine that I hear.
You know, I hear that all the time. What I hear all the time is nobody knows what Savate is. And those that know what Savate is, they kind of are afraid of what Savate is. They're afraid of this thing, like the unknown. It's no good. Or it's too violent. Or you guys like to fight. Maybe. But what Savate teaches you is self-control. Because if I can kick you fast, and I know how to kick you and hurt you, then I have to have the same respect inside me to respect you for me not to do that to you. Okay? In my younger days, when you grew up and you had that, and yes, you got into couple of fights here and there. And you realize that you can, this was what it was for. It is a science of fighting. It's a science of fighting for what? Okay? I'm going to continue training this because, number one, I love my family. I love my community. I love to see those that come in here and learn. So that has taught me that by doing Savate, I have given others the love of respect, because people have respected themselves, learned to respect themselves, and they have moved forward. And those that it kind of balances out. If you're out there picking how to fight, it kind of balances you down. It brings you down. And if you're the one that's very and they're always tapping you in the head, it brings you back up too. So it kind of balances you in the middle.
Yes.
Okay. Now, granted, Savate is for everybody, men, women, and children, except those that do not want to learn. If you do not want to learn, Savate is not for you. But if you want to learn for whatever reason, Savate will be a good home. Okay? People come here because they want to compete. Yes. But to compete, you have to know basics. Especially me, because when you compete in Savate or in boxing, you can get hurt. Okay? You can even die. There's deaths. Not in Savate, but there's been more deaths in boxing. It's an art that you're hitting each other with. So before I allow somebody to go into the ring, he better has his basics down, better he has to be coordinated in using them, not just because I want to make a name for myself, I want to put somebody in that risk. No, on the contrary. So I turn down a lot of people because people do not want to learn. In today's world, the majority of students do not want to learn. I have a lot of students that their parents bring in their sons and daughters here, okay, because they're either being a little bit uncouth in the house, they're not respecting, and they want a place where they can learn the discipline. Well, if you're a parent and you have not disciplined your child, something is wrong. I guarantee, I'm a parent. I didn't know how to be a parent. But I used to see others, what they'll do, and that's what you figure the morals and how you want your children to behave, right? But what happens is you have a lot of kids that come in here that need this, and I think this can balance them out in the long run. You know, we did the programs in France back then, you know, and it worked out. But again, Savate is an art that has been, everybody knows it kind of exists, it's there, but it's also an art that a lot of people are afraid of trying to do it, and you should not be afraid of trying to do it. Okay? I think that's the best way I can explain it. What would you say, Mike?
I think everybody should have learned something, whether it be a sport, like it's like outlet, whether it be sport or any kind of sports or an art form like this. It's good for everybody. Just because you learn how to hurt somebody doesn't mean you're going to actually do it. It teaches you, oh, I can actually do this. That's not what you should be doing, But it also helps you out because then you know how to protect yourself, maybe, or your family.
You did it. What else could you add to Danse de Rue Savate?
Yeah, I hope Danse de Rue will grow because we need that. I say it again, Danse de Rue is very rich for everything. And now, in the society, you have to be ready for be able to have a response. If somebody bothering you, or because you get trouble, it's happening easy now.
Mm-hmm. Do you have something, Mike?
See, Savate and martial arts, good martial arts, teaches you this, so particular how to protect yourself, how to fight. And that's one of the reasons I practice martial arts. I'm a student of role playing. And it's something that we need now. The young people need it. And it teaches also respect, yes, because like you said, by understanding what you can do for other people, you become more respectful of the art. That's how I see the martial arts from this perspective.
No, you're correct. We're going to go ahead and finish this segment off, and it's always great to talk because this is the way we all grow. You know, the wrongs and this, and learn a little bit more of the history and stuff. And one thing that fascinates me is that every time I come to class and teach, I learn something. Or I remember something 20 years ago, 30 years ago, with my professor telling me, do it this way. It comes back to me now. And you have to be that way. And the only way you can pass something down is by that verbal and that feel that is giving you, not the energy, but the feel of a professor telling you, do it this way. It's always hounding on you. Understand? And I think those are the traditions that we need to continue. You know, every martial art is good. There's different martial arts for everybody. But what I have found in Savate is that it's a martial art that you become a brother to a bigger family.
Yeah.
Because everybody and all the professors in Savate know each other. There's not a one that does not. You know, there's 54 of them now alive, and I guarantee you that every single one of them knows each other. They know where they came from. They know what they do. You know, and tell them about the story that in Savate, Vieille Savate.
What?
About the Vieille Savate, about that student of mine that was over there.
Yeah. I met a guy who was in France there's a competition called Vieille Savate.
Old Savate.
Yes, Old Savate. It's for people over than 50.
Okay. 50 above.
If you do a Savate too, you're over 50, you can go in this competition. But it's good. It's also it's not a combat. And I met a guy. I saw he had a good technique. I said, oh, where are you from? Too? So, where you start Savate? Tell me, oh, I start Savate in Texas. Oh yeah, in Texas. With who? With Professeur Buitrón. It was funny. I said, okay, let's call him.
It was May. You remember May?
I remember.
It was so funny.
You know, and that those are the things that occur. You know, the things that happen. You know, in the world of Savate. Okay, and that world is that you meet people. Last year we had another professor I met in Savate. He's a student of Professor Morelli. He's a chef. Met him one time. He calls me up and he says, "Can you help me out? I'm going to move. I want to find a job as a chef." So he came to Texas, and I said, "But you're a chef of cuisine, you know." And I go, "The best bet is for you to be in the bigger restaurants. Here, there's nothing. There's really, you know, there's small." And he goes, "We're going to go to Las Vegas." And I go, "If you're in Las Vegas, I'm also a chef." And I go, "Why don't you contact this person, this person, and this person?" And he did, and he found a job now in Las Vegas. You know, so they hired him. So it's a family that everybody helps each other. You know, it's just that's the nature of it. At the top levels. Once you become silver glove, there's a brotherhood that's there, and then if you become a professor, then that's another brotherhood that surpasses it. And that's just the way it is, you know? It's interesting, but... Alrighty, number one, I want to thank you all for continuing and giving the energy for what Danse de Rue is. Okay, because Danse de Rue, that's what it is. It's fellowship. It's family. Okay? Hopefully answered some questions for the folks out there. Till next time, peace.